right. What I've noticed, a lot of people, a lot of brothers and sisters buying plastic bottled water. Right. That right there is gonna run out. You know why? Because it expires. That thing expires right there. So if you're stockpiling with nothing but bottled waters, and especially if you're stockpiling in hot places that are not cooled, I can help you out. Your water's probably already expired. All right, because once the plastic starts getting hot, it what is it called? Corrupts or infects the water.
Right.
Okay. Topic of the day, are you ready for the coming apocalypse? So hey, you got to ask yourself the question. Give me a second, Ezra 7:43. And we're going to go through this a little bit. We got a call? All right, we'll take a quick call. Hey, Shalom, caller, what's your question or your comment?
How you doing?
How you doing, my sister?
Good. I'm calling from the Philly camp.
Okay, all praise. Philly in the house. Captain Joel, Captain Haim, all praise to the Father.
All praises. So in my personal experience, I mean, you know, with the sisters, we're talking about the sisters, not treating the black men well. In my personal experience, I have, you know, coming out of the Christian church, because I'm still kind of new to the school.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out of the Christian church, you always get the same type of advice. So the advice that you usually get, like on one side, you'll get, oh, you know, be forgiving, be loving when you're dealing with a person that you actually should probably flee from, not marry, not pursue. But then once you're married, they tell you to leave them. They tell you to do this or that. Like, they give you bad advice on every side. So I think, I don't really, you know everybody's situation, but I think the Christian church is definitely part of the problem. And then you've got sisters that are coming out of homes where they either don't have a father at all, or they've got the father and the mother fighting. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. Since I grew up in the Christian church, so what you're saying is 100% true. It's hypocrisy,
right?
All right, because the Most High, he loves what? Marriage is honorable, right? When you read Hebrews the 13th chapter, all right. And when you read 1 Timothy the 5th chapter, it talks about the woman, all right, her role, how she's supposed to bear children, guide the house. God, in Ephesians the 5th chapter, all right, God, he loves marriage, but when it comes to the Christian church, just like you said, it's more, instead of the wife listening to the husband, what do? They skip the husband, go straight to the pastor, and the pastor, like the sister said, they're counseling them, say, hey, the best thing to do, y'all need to separate. Why? A lot of these pastors are ruining those marriages. Right. They're trying to sleep with these different sisters. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead, sis.
I can speak to that personally, like my being, you know, married. I'm just fresh, like all new to the truth. And my husband's not in the truth yet at all. So, you know, I have experienced that with going to the pastors, going to different family members who, you know, they claim to be Christian. So they know the scriptures, but the first thing they tell you is leave. Like, okay, you'll have a situation, you'll talk to them, and they won't really ask you, like, both sides. So they'll hear you in your emotions. And I can look back on some things that I've said to, like, a pastor or to, like, a family member, and I won't really tell them everything, or I will, but I'm talking from an emotional point or standpoint. And they don't say, hey, maybe we should, you know, have him get on the line so we can see, you know, the whole story here and see if maybe you were talking to him wrong, or maybe you did this wrong or that wrong, and maybe he's just in his feelings. You know, they don't It's a lot of hypocrisy, and they also don't counsel you together, or they won't give you advice based on all points.
Right, you got to hear
So
both sides. You got to hear both sides. You hit it on the
like,
head, sis. Hit it 100% on the head.
So it's just a bunch of confusion all around. You've got the members that are giving bad advice. You got the pastors giving bad advice. It's hypocrisy and bad advice all around.
All praise. Hey, thank you for calling in, sis. Real quick,
That's
what's
right.
that? 2 Timothy 3. Give me verse 5. Like the sister said, it looks like they know scriptures because they quote and things of that nature, but they don't have the true understanding of the scriptures. Only the Israelites got the right understanding of the scriptures.
Hey, remember, Cap,
That's
single
right.
sisters giving more money than
There you
married
go.
couples.
There you go.
So the pastor start losing money when you get married. So now he have an agenda to break you up.
That's an excellent
That
point.
money
right there.
back.
Read that for us real quick.
The book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3 and verse 5.
Go ahead.
Having a form of godliness.
That's the thing. They got a form of godliness. Because what does a Christian pastor normally look like? They put on a suit. That's that stereotypical version that you see, because that's what the white man taught us.
Right.
If they got on a nice suit, if they say, how you doing today? Bless your heart. I'm praying for you. If they saying these things, they make it sound good. Makes them look like they got God with them. Go ahead.
But denying the power thereof.
It says they have a form of godliness, but they deny the power of God. Go ahead.
From such turn away.
The Bible says turn away from these type of people. And how are you going to know them? You're going to know them by their fruits.
Right. That's right.
All right, like I said, was that Matthew 7, right? You're going to know them by their fruits. Hey, for the sake of time, let's get into it. 2 Ezra chapter 7. And we're going to breeze through this for the sake of time. We got about 40 minutes. So read that for me, please.
The book of 2 Ezra, chapter 7 and verse 43.
Go ahead.
But the day of doom shall be the end of this time.
Right, so it says the day of doom shall be the end of this time. This is talking about that apocalypse, Armageddon. This Armageddon is talking about the last days. Right. Give me verse 41 real quick.
Verse 41.
Go ahead.
Even so now, seeing corruption is grown up.
Right, and that's what we're seeing. That's why we go through things like Coon of the Week. That's why we go through the war and rumors of war. Says corruption is springing up. The evils are increasing. Go ahead.
And wickedness increase.
Uh-huh.
And the righteous have prayed for the ungodly.
Right, and the righteous have prayed for the ungodly. Come on.
Wherefore, shall it not be so now also?
Uh-huh.
He answered me and said, this present life is not the end where much glory doth abide.
Right, so it's telling us what? We're going to catch hell here. All right, we're going to catch hell in this place called Babylon the Great.
That's right.
And wherever was scattered in this captivity. Go ahead.
Therefore, have they prayed for the weak, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come.
Right. All right. So we just like Bishop just went over this past Sabbath, that's what we're looking toward. But don't forget, we got to go through this tribulation period as well.
Right.
All right. Give me the book of James 2. All right. So I think it's 26. So brothers and sisters, we got to make sure that as we hear these classes, as we hear the warning from God, all right, we got to make sure we govern ourselves accordingly and take action. All right. Because that'll be a damn shame. Like it says with Ezekiel 33, lovely song. Is that 33, 31?
Yes, sir.
All right. Read that for us real quick. It'll be a crying shame. It'll be a crying shame if you hear all of these classes, you hear all of the warning, but when that day comes, you have nothing in place. You're not prepared. All right, read that for us.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 33 and verse 31.
Go ahead.
And they come unto thee as the people cometh. And they sit before thee as my people. And they hear thy words.
But check it out. It's going to happen. Because it's prophesied that only 1/3 will make it out of this captivity right here. So we are going to have those type of people who sit amongst us. But it's still up to you whether or not you're one of those. Go ahead.
But they would not do them.
You see that? But they would not what?
Do them.
Now give me that in James. Watch this, y'all.
The book of James, chapter 2 and verse 26.
Go ahead.
For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also.
You see that? Faith without works is dead also. So as we prepare for the tribulation, but most importantly the apocalypse, which is the end, okay, as we prepare for that, we got to make sure that we putting our best foot forward.
That's right.
We can't talk about it. We actually have to make the precautions, like Proverbs 21 and 31, okay? We got to make sure we stockpiling, right? Getting ourselves ready for the famine. We know it's going to hit the fan. We got to have survival equipment. All right, what are you going to do when the power go out? A lot of people, they get a bunch of chicken. You get a bunch of chicken, but what happens when you can't cook the chicken?
Right.
Because they're going to turn the power off. They're going to turn the water off. They're going to do all of that. So we got to get out that mindset of, okay, famine's going to come, but the enemy, they're going to look out for us and keep our power on. Not if you don't pay it.
No.
You got to think about stuff like that. What's also going to happen? Foreclosure. evictions. Why? Because when famine comes, a lot of people gonna lose jobs.
Right.
You understand? You're not gonna have access to like the fuel and things of that nature. Not gonna be able to make it to work. So you got to be thinking differently, and that's why we have these type of classes. That's why we have these type of shows to get you in that mindset to start thinking differently. But most importantly, being more proactive, family. Read what you got.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 21 and verse 31.
Come on.
The horse is prepared against the day of battle. But safety is of the Lord.
Right. So it say the horse is prepared against the day of battle, meaning what? It puts on the armor. It's ready to fight. And that's what we got to do. We got to be ready for the tribulation to come. Right. But knowing that latter part is say at the end of the day, and we're going to dive into that, expound on that a little bit later, it's talking about we can prepare all we want, but at the end of the day, it's still of the will of God. That's how things play out.
That's right.
All right. What I've noticed, a lot of people, a lot of brothers and sisters buying plastic bottled water.
Right.
That right there is going to run out. You know why? Because it expires. Right. That thing expires right there. So if you're stockpiling with nothing but bottled waters, and especially if you're stockpiling in hot places that are not cooled, I can help you out. Your water's probably already expired. All right, because once the plastic starts getting hot, it what is it called? Corrupts or infects the water.
Right.
Okay, so pull this up for us real quick. So if you haven't been doing that, this is what I recommend. All right, for those who are new to the truth and things of that nature, this is canned water. All right, shelf life of canned water is 30 to 50 years. 30 to 50 years. Now, the good thing about canned water, guess what? Once you use it or drink it, you still got the can. Still got the can, meaning what? If you're gonna be on the go, you're gonna need something to refill.
Right.
You got type in life stick right here, and I'm not gonna go over it extensively like I wanted to. We revisit it. Lord's will, we get to revisit this topic again. All right, but pull it up for me real quick. The life stick, it removes water contaminants. So the life stick works as a water filtration system. So if you're near any body of water, whether it be a lake or a pond or anything like that, you could take that, the life stick will filtrate it, you could put it in that canned water. All right, so like I said, Lord's will, we plan to go extensively over these type of topics, probably weekly from this point on, just a little, probably like a few hints here and there every show, so we can start getting in that mindset, okay? Do me a favor, I want to talk about storing. All right, because Bishop went over this, I think it was last year, about the Passover. A lot of people were storing things like cookies, sweets, and different things in their storages. No, we're not to do that. Why? Because these things perish.
Right.
Okay, especially if you got certain storages. If it's not temperature control, you're going to get rodents in there and things of that nature. So let's go to the book of 2 Chronicles, the 32nd chapter, real quick, and let's recant and see what our forefathers would store in their storehouses. We got to do the same thing. We got to store sustainable products, all right, that are actually going to last. All right, give me that 32 and 28, I believe. Go ahead.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 32 and verse 28.
Go ahead.
Storehouses also for the increase of corn.
Right, it said the storehouses was for the increase of corn. Read.
And wine. And oil. And stalls for all manner of beasts, and coats for flocks.
All right, so that's all I wanted right there. Our forefathers in their storehouses, they would actually have the right thing stocked in there. So we got to do what? We got to look at the shelf life of things. Now, it's good to have canned foods, but canned foods, that's only going to give you 2 years.
Right.
You have different websites. I'm not going to mention the website just because Esau's watching. And we know that he's probably gonna start taking things away from us.
Right.
So there's other websites out there, man, with different rations of foods that have a shelf life of 20 plus years. But most importantly, don't make the same mistake again, because there's some things that you can get that have leaven in them. Okay, so remember, even in our affliction, we still got to keep the commandments, right?
That's right.
All right, so don't be that brother or sister when times get rough. Oh, I can forsake the commandment just because this is the only thing I got to eat. Wait, does that make any sense? Now that you're going through your tribulation, it's okay for me to eat bread that has leaven in it during the Passover.
Right.
Y'all got anything, officers, before I?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Isaiah 65 and 13.
You can pick up the call, put it on hold.
That's why the Bible let us know to prepare. for in these last days that we can be safe in our affliction. Read.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 65 and verse 13. Therefore, thus said the Lord God,
What he said.
behold, my servant shall
You
eat,
see that? He said, my servant shall eat. Read.
but ye shall be hungry.
Uh-huh.
Behold, my servant shall
We
drink,
shall drink because why? We listen to the wisdom that comes down. Read.
but ye shall be thirsty.
But you shall be thirsty. Read.
Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed.
You see that? We shall rejoice in those days because we did what? We listened to the leadership and prepared.
But most importantly, we listen to the voice of God.
right. That's
Because
right.
that's what we teaching. We're just
right.
giving warning. That's all we doing. Genesis 41. And start at verse 54.
The book of Genesis, chapter 31 and verse 54. 41 and 54.
Start at 53.
Verse 53.
Go ahead.
And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended. And the 7 years of dearth began to come.
Right. What is dearth? Dearth is famine. Another word for famine. Go ahead.
According as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all lands. But in all the land of Egypt there was bread.
Uh-huh.
And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, go unto Joseph. What he saith to you, do. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses.
All the what?
Storehouses.
Go ahead.
And sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine was waxed sore in the land of Egypt.
Come on.
And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn.
To buy what?
To buy corn.
To buy corn. Go ahead.
Because that the famine was sore in all lands.
Right. So we gotta follow the example of the forefathers, man. We gotta make sure that we got storehouses in different locations too, man.
right.
Remember Hebrews 10 and 31. We're gonna read down a little bit. All right. Remember, who's to say that the dwelling that you're in right now, who's to say that once it hits the fan that you're gonna continue to occupy that dwelling right there. Okay? Read this.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 10 and verse 31.
Come on.
It is a fearful thing.
And this is not to scare anybody. This is literally, a wise man he's going to prepare. That's what he's going to do in the face of trouble. Go ahead.
It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God.
Come on.
But call to remembrance for former days, in which after ye were illuminated, ye endured a great fight of afflictions.
That's what it's talking about. And that's what we're trying to get our people prepared for. To endure the great fight of affliction. Called what? Jacob's trouble.
That's right.
All right? And these type of classes are going to continue to come out so we can prepare our minds and physically prepare as well. All right, go ahead.
Partless while you were made a gazing stock, both by reproaches and afflictions.
Right, we're made a gazing stock by reproaches and afflictions. Remember, Bishop just went over with 2 Ezra 16. All right, we're going to be a gazing stock. There's going to be a great insurrection against all of those who fear the Lord.
That's right.
All right, we're made a spectacle unto men. That's what this is going into right here. Go ahead.
And partly which ye became companions of them that were so used. For ye had compassion of me and my bonds.
Watch this.
And took joyfully the spoiling of your goods.
Right, taking joyfully the spoiling of your goods. Some of those goods could be what we're talking about right here.
Right.
All right, so the best thing is to do is prepare. But remember, it said in Proverbs 21 and 31, it's still of the Lord. You don't know exactly how it's going to play out.
That's right.
All right, but either way, you still gotta be joyful. You still gotta continue to endure through the affliction. Go ahead.
Knowing in yourselves that ye have in heaven a better and an enduring substance.
There you go. Read on.
Cast not away, therefore, your confidence, which have great recompense of reward.
Read.
For ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of God, ye might receive the promise. For yet a little while, and he that shall come will come.
What verse you at?
Verse 37.
Okay, that's all I wanted from there. Drop that. Give me 2 Ezra 6. All right, we touched this earlier, but I want verse 22.
The book of 2 Ezra, chapter 6 and verse 22.
So when we get to that time, things like this will be occurring. Watch this.
And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown.
Right, those kept places, the nice side of town always got they lawn mowed.
Right.
It was always got fresh paint. It's always kept up looking nice. It says, and this time ain't gonna be nobody over there cleaning the windows. Ain't gonna be no lawn man mowing the yard no more. Go ahead.
The full storehouses.
The what?
The full storehouses.
Right. The stocked storehouses. Read.
shall suddenly be found empty.
So we got to study precept upon precept.
That's
Right.
All right, and that's why we're going over
That's
these type of
right.
lessons, so we're prepared either way. Read that verse all the way through again.
And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty.
That's it on verse 22?
Yes, sir.
All right, 2nd Ezra 15. And officers, if y'all got anything, chime in. All right, 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 17.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 17.
Go ahead.
A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
Right, but don't worry. Be joyful. Understand you're facing this affliction for Christ's sake.
That's right.
Understand that thing. And don't forget that. Verse 49, watch this.
Verse 49. I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death.
Right. So I want y'all to think about something like this. We are going to be tried. If Christ, the Messiah, all right, the Son of God, was tempted at all points, guess what we're going to be? We're going to be tempted at all points as well. All right, so we got to understand we may be used to being nourished here in America, but it's going to come a day where everything is not going to be so easily accessible. Okay? Y'all got that script I want?
Yes, sir.
All right, read that.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 4 and verse 15.
Come on.
For we have not an high priest, which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities,
Come on.
but was in all points tempted, like as we are.
Right. So you know what also comes with that temptation? Now think about it, y'all. You are down and out, you poor, your storehouse has been ransacked, you ain't got your house no more. You know how difficult it would be in that day to sustain and keep the faith, and most importantly, but not to betray your brother.
Right.
Because Esau's gonna play on our weaknesses.
Right.
So what type of things you think he's gonna do in that at that point? Tempt you with housing,
Right.
tempt you with money, food. All you gotta do, you know what? I ain't even gonna make you do. Just tell me where they're meeting at tonight, and that's it. That's all you gotta do. That's it. So we gotta make sure. Give me Matthew 24. That's the one I want. Verse 10. We gotta make sure that we're preparing ourselves now. I'm gonna tell you.
That's
I'm gonna tell you something. If you are a brother or sister that roll in the spirit of hatred, bearing grudges, root of bitterness, I'm gonna tell you, 10 out of 10, you gonna give your brother up in that day.
Right.
Because think about it. Right now, we ain't even being afflicted at that point right now. And you still have hatred towards your brother. You still got hatred towards your sister.
Right.
Let it be when your life is on the line. Let it be, is it going to be her or me? Is it going to be him or me? And you already got that spirit right now. I guarantee you, in that day, this is going to be you. Matthew 24 and 10.
The book of Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 10.
Go ahead.
And then shall many be offended.
It says, shall what?
Shall many be
The
offended.
Bible says, in that day of affliction, many people are going to be offended. Go ahead.
And shall betray one another.
And this is why we're bringing it out in this dynamic. Think about it. Who's ever seen The Walking Dead? Think about it. You ain't never seen The Walking Dead before?
No,
Oh
those-
my God.
nice.
Oh my.
Wow.
Okay, IT. Okay, wow. So Levi has seen The Walking Dead, but the Judites have never seen. IT. Anybody seen? The hell is going on? Okay, all right. The hell is this? I'm thinking everybody knew the reference.
Right.
Brothers, don't binge watch it, but you got to go watch
Right.
at least season 1.
Yes, sir.
Goodness. So, all right, y'all threw me. I expect everybody to say, yeah, I seen it, cat. All right, Walking Dead. Bruh, a lot of betrayal happened. In one season, you had people eating people. Damn. You understand? So that's, okay, watch it. I can't even keep going with these guys. All right, read the verse again, man.
The book of Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 10.
Go ahead.
And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another,
It says they shall betray one another. Go ahead.
and shall hate one another.
And shall do what?
Hate one another.
That was already in them. Understand, that's not just going to come out of nowhere. It was already in them. Everybody that's in this truth, they know their shortcomings deep down. They can continue to ignore them and put dirt over it and try to bury it and mask it up as if it's not there. But deep down, they know that spirit's already in them. Go ahead.
And many false prophets shall rise.
All right, we see what his favorite pastor, Michael Todd.
Right.
False prophets out here. Go ahead.
And shall deceive many.
Go ahead.
And because iniquity shall abound,
Uh-huh.
the love of many shall wax cold.
It says the love of many shall wax cold because of iniquity. Watch this. Give me Isaiah 33:15. We're almost done because we got to get into the rundown. All right, watch this. Isaiah chapter 33, verse 15. Watch this, y'all.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 33 and verse 15. He that walketh righteously and speaketh uprightly, he that despiseth the gain of oppression.
That's the key. He that despiseth the gain of oppression. Remember, there's going to be a great insurrection against those who fear the Lord.
Right.
Meaning what? We're going to be oppressed at an all-time high. It's saying in that day, the righteous, they're going to have to resist these temptations because that's exactly how it's going to play out in these last days.
Right.
Remember we talked about giving brothers up? Hey, give me Acts 12 real quick. I want to come back to Isaiah 33. All right, before we finish this point. Acts chapter 12, give me 4. Watch this.
The book of Acts, chapter 12 and verse 4.
Uh-huh.
And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quintillions of soldiers.
Who's this? This is talking about Peter. This is after they killed James. All right, verse 5. Watch this.
Peter therefore was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto God for him.
Read on.
And when Herod would have brought him forth, the same night Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers, bound with 2 chains. And the keepers before the door kept the prison.
Come on.
And behold, the angel of the Lord came upon him, and a light shined in the prison. And he smote Peter on the side and raised him up, saying, Arise up quickly. And his chains fell off from his hands. And the angel said unto him, Gird thyself and bind on thy sandals. And so he did. And he said unto him, Cast thy garment about thee and follow me.
Right, so what's taking place? The angel is freeing Peter from prison. All right, why was he put in prison? Because he was a follower of Christ.
That's right.
All right, he was being persecuted. Why they killed James? Because it was an insurrection against the followers of Christ at that time.
Right.
Verse 10, when they were past the first and the second ward, they came unto the iron gate that leadeth unto the city, which opened to them of his own accord.
Come on.
And they went out and passed on through one street, and forthwith the angel departed from him.
Come on.
And when Peter was come to himself, he said, Now I know of a surety that the Lord hath sent his angel, and hath delivered me out of the hand of Herod, and from all the expectation of the people of the Jews.
Verse 12 is the point. Pay attention to this. Watch this.
And when he had considered the thing, he came to the house of Mary, the mother of John, whose surname was Mark, where many were gathered together praying.
It says, where many were gathered together praying. Why were they all gathered there? To flee the what? The persecution. All right, so after he was freed from prison by the hand of the angel, he met up with the other brothers and sisters at one of the safe houses. And that's why we're going into this. Because there's gonna come a day when all of this takes place. If we're not getting our spirits right now,
That's right.
in that day, you're gonna be the betrayer, like it says in Matthew 24 and 10. And give up locations like this. Now go back to Isaiah 33:15 to wrap up. Watch
The
this.
book of Isaiah, chapter 33 and verse 15.
Go ahead.
He that walketh righteously and speaketh uprightly, he that despiseth the gain of oppressions, that shaketh his hand from holding a bride.
You see that? That shaketh his hand from the holding of bribes. Hey, I'm not giving up my brother. I'm not giving up my sister. It doesn't matter what you're trying to offer me. I'm not going to be a betrayer in that day. Go ahead.
That stoppeth his ears from hearing of blood, and shutteth his eyes from seeing evil.
Go ahead.
He shall dwell on high.
It says these type of people, they're going to dwell on high. Go ahead.
His place of defense shall be the munitions of rocks. Bread shall be given him. His water shall be sure.
Watch this.
Thine eyes shall see the king in his beauty.
Now, hey, understand this, brothers and sisters. That's if we stay alive on this side until coming with Christ, or if we depart. It's just telling you in these days, these are the people that's going to make it. All right? Before you finish this off, give me verse 14.
Verse 14.
Come on.
The sinners in Zion are afraid.
You know why they're afraid? Because they're seeing the same thing we're seeing. They're seeing what? The famine. They're going to be scared when that break out. They're seeing the looting. They're seeing the ransacking of people's houses. Remember, like it says in 2 Ezra 7, it says that the righteous and the wicked are going to have to go through those trials.
Right.
But only the righteous is going to get the reward. Okay? Read that verse again, verse 14.
The sinners in Zion are afraid. Fearfulness hath surprised the hypocrites.
Fearfulness has surprised the hypocrites. Read.
Who among us shall dwell with the devouring fire?
So it's saying, who amongst us is going to endure this affliction. Read.
Who among us shall dwell with everlasting burnings?
And then it says, what, verse 15?
He that walketh righteously.
It says, he that walketh righteously. So we got to make sure that we pull ourselves out of sin. That's the key.
That's right.
If we want to prepare ourselves for the apocalypse, we got to get rid of sin. Last verse, verse 6. Watch this.
Verse 6.
Come on.
And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time.
Right, because it's going to be all types of chaos going on in these last days. The only thing that's going to be able to keep our sanity is what? Read it again.
And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time.
Go ahead.
And strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure.
All right, so all praise to the Most High. Let's get to it.
What is a nation? Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is